welcome to the Guiricast, the Malaga fan podcast for all the Guiris out there, live on Sports Direct Radio and as part of the Sports Social Podcast Network. I'm your host, Nick Bell, and it is the playoffs, baby. We are getting ready for a Malaga promotion push, and here at Guiricast, we're going to bring you all the preview ahead of this weekend's game against Celta Fortuna. But to lead into that little preview with me, I need my Guiricast co-host. So first of all, I'll say hello to you, Chris Marquez in Spain.
Hi, everyone.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
How excited are you to play a second B team in the space of 2 weeks?
Excited. It is playoffs after all. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't really matter who you play against. I mean, excitement is there. This is the moment we have been waiting for the whole season.
Exactly. It is here. And I know someone who has definitely got a bit of playoff fever. That is the one and only Luke Chambers in Doncaster. How are you, Luke?
I'm very well, mate. How are you?
I'm not doing too bad. I've just had a lovely pizza, handcrafted by my wife, and it's delicious. So I'm a pretty content man at the minute.
You can't know that at all. I'm, like I've just said, I've treated myself to a nice Victoria Malaga Cervezas to get us through this. Talking about B teams.
A nice cheeky little warm-up on a Thursday evening. It's always the way to go. Well, as per usual, and Chris has got broccoli.
Chris doesn't like broccoli, by the way.
If you're listening to this rather than watching, Chris is holding broccoli, as you well do. But anyway,
off air, guys. We've just sat and watched Chris try and fight his way through this broccoli for the last 5 minutes.
We're too many.
Head around the corner. So eat your broccoli, Chris.
We're too many of them.
Too many. Well, it seemed like it was a bit of a mess. But what was a bit of a mess for Malaga this week is the ticket situation with Celta Fortuna, that away game over in Vigo, a short bus ride by some measure. But basically, Luke, there's been a huge mess up with the tickets, but they've got a bit of a solution. Pay attention, Rayo Vallecano. Digital tickets are here. Seems like a step forward, Luke.
Yeah, it's strange in 2024 that teams using digital tickets, isn't it? No, not really. It's modern day stuff, isn't it? Apparently, the mix-up was that Malaga didn't receive the actual 1,500 tickets they were meant to receive. So, therefore, the solution is digital tickets.
As if someone had thought of that before they had to print off loads of other 1,500 paper tickets and put them that way. But it is a bit of a step forward. It's a bit unique, obviously, for away fans more than anything. At Malaga, they have had digital tickets, French and the turnstiles for a few seasons now. So it's not all entirely new, but obviously very good, Chris, if you get on a bus in Malaga and you're on your way to Vigo and you check your pockets and you go, shit, I fucking left on a mantelpiece, haven't I? And you've left your ticket back in Malaga. Digital tickets, how good are they?
It would help me in Cordoba because I had this annoying Welsh guy asking me through the city if we were going to get tickets. I had to tell them, don't worry, Matt, you get your ticket. Yeah, but I just my ticket. I just want to be sure. Yes, Matt, you'll be fine. Are you sure we get it? Yes, Matt, you get a ticket.
Well, Matt will be buzzing because obviously he's making that arduous trip up to Vigo this weekend. So he'll have his digital ticket in his phone on hand, phone fully charged and ready to go. But obviously a bit of
it's about 14 hours in a bus.
It's stupid.
People are leaving Friday night and they're coming back on Sunday.
That is unbelievable, isn't it? I think Matt's bus leaves La Rosaleda at 11:30 Friday night. I mean, what do you do all night?
1,500 tickets. 1,500.
Go to sleep.
Well, I'm sure Matt says his plan is to drink a hell of a lot of red wine, get on the bus, but surely the hangover is going to kick in if you've sat on a bus and tried to sleep for 10 hours.
I could sleep on a bus. The problem is I snore that loud that if I sleep, nobody else sleeps. They will probably throw me out. I don't know.
That sounds like an everybody else problem. But as we've just mentioned as well, obviously with the ticket amounts going on to digital, 1,500 Malaga fans making the like I say the 14-hour trip up to Vigo. So if you're not fully aware of the geographics of Spain, you've probably been to Malaga, nice, Andalusian on the coast, Costa del Sol, as pretty much as far south Spain as you can get, barring Algeciras. Vigo, all the way up in the northwest, bordering Portugal.
Yeah,
He's
close
on the
to
Atlantic coast.
Portugal.
Close to Porto.
Yeah, it's fucking long.
I mean, it's
It'd be
10
like-
hours. I made a 14-hour calculation myself because it's 10 hours in a car. In a car, you can drive 120 kilometers per hour. And with a bus, you can drive 80. So, Nick, you look like because you have glasses, you look like somebody who can.
It depends as well. You've got to have stops. You've got your coach driver's got to have rest breaks. So
Yes.
there's a lot more that goes into it.
But
I
if
think-
you do it without of stops.
I think the equivalent distance, this will probably be a bit more useful for our UK listeners. It's the same going between Bournemouth and Inverness. Just to put that into some kind of perspective, that's the south coast of England all the way up to the north of Scotland. That it's a similar kind of time that it would take you to drive.
Edinburgh to London and back. Nearly that kind of times we're talking here.
Pretty much, yeah. You see, it's not a nice trip. So I hope Matt does drink a lot of red wine to get himself through it. But it's not unusual. Malaga fans, traveling en masse and being some of the best supporters in Spain. It's come out this week. It's official. Malaga had the 12th highest attendance in Spain, the second highest in Primera Maya, because Deportivo La Coruña had a higher one. However, considering that there are a further 44 teams in the two leagues above us, being a third division side, being 12th is pretty good, isn't it, Chris?
It's very good. And I think are we the biggest with away?
We must be.
I think this season we've got to be.
We must be.
We've got to be. But it's. I think it's quite nice symmetry that we have the 12th highest attendance in Spain.
Yeah,
when we are truly the 12th.
What the most special thing is, because Depor has been in Primera RFF for a few seasons now. So, after you relegate, everything goes down.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then you have to grow in it again. But Malaga just stayed up with the tendency.
Yeah, exactly. Fantastic stuff from Malaga fans, isn't it, Luke?
Unbelievable. I mean, how many times have we had to say this season? For me, they're the best support in Spain. The most enjoyable supporters in the world, in my eyes. Nothing beats the Malaguistas. But as you alluded to, Nick, there is only one team in Segunda with a higher attendance than us, which is Zaragoza. Mm-hmm. And I dare say that we are at least 11 teams higher in La Liga. I know Malaga's a big club, but when we're playing at this kind of level, absolutely unbelievable. Yeah, no,
it shows the size of the club as well in terms of, like you say, the dominance of it, one club town and things like that. So it is excellent to see. And that has been shown across the Costa del Sol this week. You may have noticed the flags hanging off balconies. Chris, have you got your flag hanging off your balcony at the minute?
I'd love to, but I live just above a restaurant. So I live in the center, in the town center. We have something important going on this weekend. So I don't want to offend everybody in town. I don't want to offend my restaurant owner below me. And I don't want to offend the rest of the town hall by hanging up a flag in the center of the town.
But it's the playoffs. They'll understand. There's some things that you can just get away with. It's fine.
I'm not sure, because Sunday we have the Corpus in Benalmádena Pueblo. If you are around, it's very beautiful. They lay flowers through my street. I will send pictures. But it's very beautiful, but it also has to do with the church.
Is it a football in Pueblo then, Chris? Based on people is the Benalmádena Pueblo a relatively football-based place? All Malaguistas?
Yes. We have multiple videos where during our fair, the hymno of Malaga, the hymn, is played, and then everybody singing, And I posted the video last Saturday of the local restaurant, pizzeria, where everybody was singing.
Dare we hear the Benalmádena Pueblo Peña coming, Chris?
They have a sort of group with the flags and everything, but I don't see a real peña coming from it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Well, one of us got mentioned by the club, even shared again for their attempt of putting a flag outside their house.
Hey, Nick, even Laura noticed the thing about this picture.
It's a bit. If you look at the shadows, you might notice something about it, but
You've done very well, though. You've done very well.
I think we've done all right. Yeah, we've done all right. Bit of good publicity.
I didn't see it.
If you have a little look onto the Malaga Club the Football Instagram, fifth image in.
I saw it. I saw it on their Instagram, but I didn't see.
Yeah, Nick's made it. He's effectively made it.
We made it.
Via hoax.
Guiricast represent.
By the shadow?
Well, to come clean to you, the Guiricast listeners, because I would not want to betray the trust of the Guiricast listeners.
But keep it quiet, guys. Keep it quiet, guys.
Don't tell the club this. It is a bit.
You don't own a flag.
I don't own a flag. I have many scarves and Victoria Malaga, but I can never sneak a flag home in my suitcase. It just doesn't work out that way. So it's a very not even a good Photoshop, to be honest. I don't really know how I've got away with this. I mean, I did it to take the piss a little bit, but we're involved, and it got 300 likes on Twitter. So go us!
Nah, you
didn't. It should be fun. Anywho, less about flags. If you have a little look around the Costa del Sol, you'll see many Malaga ones knocking out there as well. We've also just finally finished on the news. We've got the Rosaleda Fans Awards. Luke, you mentioned this to me just before we came on air. What are we looking at here in terms of the fan awards? Have we got any winners? Did I win?
We have got the one fan award, and rightly so. I think we all of us Guiricast members came to an agreement. Steve Jackson. I mean, the guy, as Chris will probably tell you better, but the guy's roof came off during a storm, and then if that's not commitment to then still fly over and enjoy a Guiricast meetup, I don't know what will. So Stevie Jackson, well deserved, mate. Guiricast fan of the year.
Yeah,
it's
to be fair,
because a lot of belongings, like family pictures, those kind of stuff, were ruined. If I'm right, if not, let me make it more sad than it already.
It's a good story, though, Chris. You're selling the story.
But
you're going, Chris, are you? You're going to see the awards?
I couldn't even explain it to my wife. Yeah, I know we don't have a roof. But yeah, it's Malaga. I
think it's a great idea. Get your roof blown off in a storm and use the insurance money to go to Malaga every weekend.
See, you could probably get away with not having a roof in Malaga, but I think Steve's from like Stalybridge.
Yeah.
You need a roof. You need a good roof.
If your roof's pissing water all the time, I'd go to Spain as well, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. But no, not to make light of it, obviously. Congratulations.
Basically, Mrs. Jackson should have won the Fan of the Year for Steve flying off to the sunshine, whilst Mrs. Jackson were there to pick up the roof.
But if we went into that realms, Mrs. Chambers could also win it. Mrs. Bell could be involved in the running. Mrs. Marquez could be in that. So we could be here all night with how much we need to thank our wives. But
another thing, he came quite a lot of matches this season, and I think he deserves it more than anyone. He isn't going to be there. So for the first time in my life, I'm going to pick up an award.
John Terry.
And it's not even for me.
We'll hopefully see him for the second leg as well. So maybe you can give it to him then outside Bar Hermanos.
If it makes it in one piece, back home.
Well, very congratulations to Steve on that one, and thank you to La Rosaleda fans for having a foreign fan section as well. It's quite refreshing. to be involved in that kind of thing, which is brilliant. So let's talk about this game against Celta Fortuna. For the uninitiated, I'm going to call them Celta B because they are the B team of Celta Vigo, but they've just given themselves this fancy name to brand it a little bit differently. I don't know. As we've mentioned, 10-hour trip to the Estadio de Balados. Not to get stadium names wrong this week. We've checked that. We've double-checked it. Quick mention of the playoff competitors. So in our half of the playoffs, we've got obviously Celta B versus Malaga, and we've also got Ceuta versus Gimnàstic de Tarragona. And in the other side, we have got Ponferradina against Ibiza and Cordoba against Barça B as well. So
the other way around, it's Cordoba.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Nick, I thought you were just on the Spanish Segunda show talking directly about the playoffs.
Well, that was going to be my little link in to say that, going, go listen. If you want to know more, go listen to the Spanish Segunda show where I talk all sorts of sense about it. But yeah, no one cares about Grupo Uno anyway. They're shit. Let's talk about Celta B versus Malaga.
Let's talk about Celta B.
Let's talk about the playoffs, baby. Luke, how have Celta B fared this season? Obviously, they've been quite competitive. They've been in and around the playoffs more than been out of it. Obviously, a B team, we don't like them, but they seem to perform pretty well, haven't they?
Yeah, it's another team like Depor who sacked the manager very early. Well, either sacked him or he left. Either way, they haven't got the same manager. The manager these days is Ferdi Alvarez. And this guy's really changed the way that they play, from formations to attacking plays, everything. They've been a different animal since probably November. But as we're going to speak about more in depth, they are not a simple team. They're not your average B team.
No, they're really not. Like I say, they've been out of they've been in the playoffs, I should say. Sorry, more than been out of it. I think there was only 1 week from around November onwards that they were outside of the playoffs. They've even been top a couple of times as well this season, looking to really lead the way. We've noticed as well, Chris, obviously, I think it's been said before that Grupo Dos was definitely a little bit harder than Grupo Uno, which is why it meant these B teams were, found a bit more favour in their league, maybe compared to Athletic B and Real Madrid Castilla in ours. But, they're in there in merit, I suppose. If they got any players worth watching, it's always a bit hard with B teams, isn't it? Because we don't really know anything about them.
They have 2 players who have been with the first team the last couple of months, who they brought back to
Hugo Alvarez and Damian, isn't it? Yeah, they've both been involved in basically helping Celta Vigo stay up. But because they hadn't played, so many games in the first team, they are technically allowed to drop back down into Celta B for them. Hugo Alvarez is a really important player for them as well. Scored 6 goals this season too. So he's a real danger man for them. Luke, do you know much about Damian as well? He seems to be quite highly rated.
Damian's very highly rated. There is actually 4 players who's made first team appearances throughout the season. These 2, as you know, Nick, have recently been dropped down. The 3 guys who really stand out is Raul Blanco, Pablo Duran, and Alfon Gonzalez, who are the attacking 3. Between them, they've got 36 goals, which is 53% of Celta's goals. So they are very heavily reliant on these. The most important part of the Celta Vigo Fortuna team, from reading, is the fullbacks. They play a 5-3-2, but not a defensive 5-3-2 at all. They are the outlets of the team. They are very, very heavy out wide. So this also brings up a fact that Malaga can catch these when they do lose the ball high up. The only thing what worries me is we're not the fastest of teams to take advantage of this.
No, and Celta also are the highest scoring team as well, if I remember rightly, across both leagues. So very dangerous going forward. And I think the wing-backs, as you said, Luke, play an important part of that. Maybe they sacrifice a bit of their defensive play to achieve that. But I think for us, we've got to be pretty solid at the back in this game, don't we, Chris? To go up against a team that scored, I think it was 67 goals this year.
Yeah. I think there are possibilities. The problem is, what I see as a problem is pace in our attacking skills. That's going to be our biggest problem. At the other hand, I think we have quite a stable defense.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think that I don't know if they're going to play very attacking because it's the playoffs, right? The season you can win, you can lose, there's no problem. But a lot of pressure comes on these guys. So how much, I don't know, how much like attacking are you going to do with your fullbacks when the pressure is so high that one little mistake can
Yeah.
uh,
I'm very much in two minds about the pressure for Celta Vigo here, or Celta B, I should say, because yes, there is the pressure of them being young kids and playoffs coming up against, an experienced Malaga side, especially that second leg at La Rosaleda. It can be quite daunting, but also they don't need to get promoted. They're a B team and they kind of just show up and do what they want. And they're also, I don't mean to generalize all kids under the age of 21. They can be cocky bastards as well. And I've seen the videos of them on Twitter doing the dancing in the changing rooms, and they look like they play with a bit of swagger, don't they, Luke?
They're fearless, Nick. That's the thing with kids. I mean, even with our kids, with Malaga's kids, when they've been set free, our kids can be fearless. But these guys, yeah, for sure. I don't even say what their average age is, but they all bring a bit of something. The one what really sticks out to me is Pablo Duran. So he effectively, I know we call a lot of players on this podcast, the Jack Grealishes, etc. I've got down from what I'm reading, Pablo Duran is very much a Harry Kane-like centre forward. He'll drop deep, drag our centre halves out, and then really, really allow the attacking fullbacks to exploit them gaps. But yeah, we really need to be sure of these guys.
So what is the formation you would play against the 5-3-2-1?
Well, I'm trying to make a Duran joke here, guys. Come on, just let me sidle in here for a second between all this wonderful facts and things like that. He's called Pablo Duran, and is he hungry? Is he a hungry striker? Is he hungry like the wolf?
You've got me there, Nick.
You guys don't know who Duran are. Come on.
I know Duran.
I know
hungry like the wolf.
I don't know. Can you sing a bit of it?
Carry on.
Paul Henahan, Carl Smith, all the guys, they will know exactly what you're on about.
You've let me down. I hope
the interesting thing with what you guys mentioned there regarding how much will they go for it at home. I fully believe that these guys will want a victory by maybe 2 goals at home. They will not want to come to La Rosaleda knowing the atmosphere. Digging deep into the stats, they have a goal difference of plus 25 at home. Away, they've got plus 4. So to me, that really says that they switched that style up when they are playing away from home. We know we don't concede many goals at home. We're unbeaten in how many is it? We are unbeaten in 9 games at home. Granted, we've only won 1 game in our last 6.
That's the other side.
Yeah, which is the other side. I mean, perfectly timing, Chris. We've lost 1 in 15, but I dare say we've won 5.
Yeah, but let's also not forget that we finished 3rd in the league and they finished 4th in the league, and we gained much more points.
Yeah.
But they could have finished 2nd in their league as well, though. It really did come down to that loss to Barca Bay on the final day of the season. They sound like a very raw side, but exciting side. They sound like Wild Boys.
Another music
Duran song. I'm going to see how many I can slip in between here and the end of the episode. So obviously, speaking about those guys, Chris, you alluded to it before. If you were to set up a Sergio Pacer, obviously he went a little bit weaker against Real Madrid Castilla for the last game of the season. I assume he was doing that to save some energy for the playoffs. Who starts in this game? Who comes back into the fold that maybe missed out
in this game? I think we should start with what formation we should play against them. Let's start with that, and after that, we pick the players. What I wouldn't do is go full defensively. I wouldn't go full defensively because that gives them the option to play their style of football. If you play more attacking, you give them no choice than to keep those fullbacks where they should be as a back.
So you'd think, like, you know, at the starting 11 against Castilla, we saw people like Juanpe come in. You know, we had no Manu Molina, no David Larubia. Would you see those two come back in, Luke? Do you think PSA needs to go full strength?
Personally, yeah. I mean, you can't fuck about this time. It's you've got to go to look, guys. If we go there and get a draw, it's not going to be a bad result. Like you alluded to the other day, Nick. Effectively, we don't have to win a game out of the next 4. Ideally, we want to, because I don't think any of our hearts can take that. But we go to Balados and get a draw, take them back to our den.
Get a draw at our place and make it to the extra time, also without goals, and we're going to the finals.
Exactly. If we don't concede or score a goal for the next 4 games, we're promoted, guys.
Well, it depends on that. To be fair, the final is one, because if we play Ceuta, yes, we would go through. But if we lost to, if we played Tarragona, we wouldn't, because they finished second in their league.
The interesting thing with these guys as well, based on just a little bit of a stat what I picked up, is so they lost to Barcelona at home, they drew away. They lost to Gimnàstic Tarragona at home and away. They lost to Depor at home. They drew with Pomp at home and lost away. So when they have played the teams all around them, they've been shy. And then, like we've said before, Nick, Grupo Dos does seem a hell of a lot stronger than Grupo Uno has all season.
I think that's a big thing with B teams as well, to be fair. Like, you've got to think we've played 3 B teams twice this season. You know, Athletic B, Real Castilla, and Recreativa Granada. And we've come away with 16 points out of 18. You know, so we should... If these cause any kind of trouble...
I don't believe that Real Madrid Castilla is not as good as Celta's B team.
I always think this, Chris. I mean, I'm not being funny. This season...
Madrid. You know, I find it so hard to believe.
If these are that good, why the hell have they, have more of them not been helping that struggling Celta Vigo La Liga team?
Yeah, well, that's a massive point of it as well. You know, like say, you've seen a couple of players progress through, but if they were really that great, then you would see them more of them shift out of there, won't we? So, but we won't know too much about them anyway. You know, maybe a bad omen to mention here is that they have won the 3rd division 3 times before. So, you know, they have got pedigree at doing this, but they haven't come up against Malaga before, I don't think, at this kind of stage. So we can hopefully stifle them a little bit. So if I was to ask you for your starting 11, Luke, just off the top of your head, what would you go for if you were picking the team tomorrow?
So I've gone with a 4-3-3 effectively. So Guerrero, I've stayed with Puga, Ainar Monte, Victor, Canaro, Manu, Dani Lorenzo, David Ferrero, David Rarubia, and Roberto. Kevin doesn't deserve to be starting in this kind of game. But the more we spoke about Celta Vigo Bay, I don't think matching them up as a 5-3-2 would be the worst decision to make.
No, Chris, what would you do?
I would play... Difficult one. I would start with 4 at the back.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe 5.
Right back, or would you bring Joaquin back in? That seems to be the hot spot.
Maybe start with 5 at the back. But then it's not what I'm saying that Malaga has to do, is it? Like play attacking football. You don't really get.
The only thing, if we did go 5 at the back, thinking about it, we would very much limit David Ferrero. We won't want to push him centre forward, Roberto, and he's been a great player, hasn't he?
So we have to play 4-4-2. In my opinion, 4-4-2 with
the diamond, Chris.
With the diamend.
He loves the diamond.
He loves the diamond.
Because with the diamond, you have defending midfielder that is there and can go back, but as well you have one behind the 2. So it's more attacking, but also not a 4-3-3. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially if we're talking about
midfield a bit better, maybe.
Yeah, and especially if we were talking about Duran dropping in as more of like a Harry Kane type thing. If you've got someone like Genaro that can sit in front of the back 4 and, you know, basically help them come undone, then it will really help with that.
I think Genaro or whoever is in the sitting all, I do believe it will be Genaro. He's going to have a very, very busy job. Like you say, he's got Duran to look after. But if these guys like to overload out wide, effectively that holding base or the two centre mids next to him, they've got to be getting out there. We can't have 2 versus 1.
Or I would even maybe look at a 3-5-2.
Against a team that scored nearly 70 goals this season.
Is that with the defensive fullbacks, Chris? Or
maybe a 4-5-1, because I want to control the midfield. I want high pressure. I think that's important. High pressure and controlling the midfield.
I think we just need to go total football, don't we, Chris? Fuck it, let's go 2-4-2-4.
Sexy football. Go on, Nick, what about you?
The way to go. Oh, well, for me, I would. Oh God, good question. Herrera obviously in goal. Back for Puga, Monte, Juande, and Victor. A double pivot of Canaro and Molina with Daniel Lorenzo ahead of them. Ferrero, Roberto, and then the left gets me a little bit because I think Kevin's had a lot of success against B teams this year, and that's not something he should be proud of. But he has managed to do quite well, maybe with the exception of Tobias for Remedio de Castilla last weekend. But then do we bring David Larubia and given the form he had against Antequera, I think he deserves to be back in there, definitely.
I think, if I'm honest, David Larubia is way better than Kevin.
Yeah.
I
think he's a more polished player than Kevin. But with this, with what Kevin brings in this situation? He brings the chaos factor. And Kevin on his day can be too much for them to handle. And again, if he's coming up against a lad he can really take the piss out of and stand on the ball.
The problem I have with Kevin is that
he stands on ball.
Day, it's good. If he doesn't have his day, we have a big problem.
Effectively, guys, one thing what could play into Kevin's hands is, yes, we haven't praised him going forward too much, but his defensive work has been good. Yeah. So if the fullbacks are very attacking, we know that Kevin can do that job going backwards. And that, to me, this reading into Celta Vigo Bay, we need to be very, very wary of these fullbacks.
But at the other hand, and that's another problem, if you focus too much on the fullbacks coming up, you're going to be in trouble.
Yep.
Because then you're giving them space.
Yep.
No.
So I think Malaga should go into the match and play their own game. But I think Pellicer needs to come up with a good plan. He probably has watched all the matches they played over the last 15 matches for sure. So he has to come up with something. I'm very excited to see what he's coming up with.
Effectively, lads, as well, there's no reason why we can't go to Balados, score 2 goals and really dominate the fucking ball. We've got ball players in our team.
We really do. And in an ordinary world, that would be quite
perfecto.
Usual. It would be perfecto. But, this is the playoffs, and the playoffs are crazy, and they do crazy things to you. So, yes, we shall see on Saturday night. Obviously, the second leg. So, again, if you're not fully up to speed with how the playoffs work in Primera Federación, you've got 2 legs in the semi-final. And then just to make it even better, you get 2-legged finals as well, which is obviously not the way we do it here in the UK. Game back at La Rosaleda. We'll do another preview of that next week. But again, how important was it, Luke, to get them that way around, to have that advantage of the second leg at home at La Rosaleda in front of what should hopefully be a sellout crowd?
You've just said it perfectly at the end there, Nick. It's going to be a sellout crowd. We've all been inside that stadium when it's cooking, and players will not want to play there if Malaga are on it. Balados, I expect probably 10,000 maybe with a half-empty stadium.
It is a beat, and I
don't think you'll even get that many.
No, I think do we not think that the Vigo fans will get behind him a little bit? I mean, like we spoke off air about this being a red alert game, do we say?
I think you'll get your more obsessed fans, but there'll be regular run-of-the-mill Celta Vigo fans who just had to endure a season of fucking relegation battles. that have gone to go, well, summer holidays now. I can't be arsed doing this on a Saturday night. I'd rather go out with my mates.
I think they got 4.5 against Barca Bay last game of the season. But either way, I mean, it totally blew my mind, to be fair, Nick, about the importance of finishing third until maybe the last 2 games. And you think, hold on, Cordoba have dicked us. They've got our hand. Do we need to be in their half? I mean, to be fair, I'm quite worried about Ceuta. Ceuta are no mugs.
No, Ceuta are there. And I think I said as much to Alex on the Spanish Segunda show. I think with my hat on, I think Ceuta could give Gimnàstic de Tarragona a really good game. You've got one who doesn't score a lot, but don't concede a lot, versus one that concedes a lot and scores a lot. So,
but also don't need to forget about Gimnàstic de Tarragona, because they also
their defensive record is what it is for a reason, same as ours.
Yeah, it's a strong playoff picture.
Yeah,
so
it's not easy at all.
I think each team brings something different when you look into it. I mean, yes, we've learnt about Celta Vigo B. They seem flary. Malaga, we watch them every week, and we never know which Malaga.
I don't know what we are bringing in, if I'm honest.
No, Ceuta, very unpredictable. They bring a good flair, attacking, battling performances. And Tarragona, again, from what we've looked at, they're a solid team.
Yeah, I think Gimnàstic de Tarragona are too solid for the playoffs, in my opinion, because it's about winning 1-0 here in normal games is fine, but then trying to get a 1-0 and defend it in the playoffs just doesn't work a lot, in my opinion. I think if you try and shit out yourselves a draw to the Segunda, then it's not going to work in your favour. But it'll be interesting. So this weekend we've got Malaga and Celta Bay on Saturday night. The other 3 games are all on Sunday. And then the weekend after, we've got 2 games on the Saturday and 2 games on the Sunday as well. So plenty of football to watch. You can watch it on FEF TV if you're not based in Spain, or if you are fortunate enough to live in Spain in the local areas. And I think like Canal Sur have got it in Andalusia, for example, and other regional people. So plenty of opportunity to watch this. There's another game going on at the same time, I believe, than when we're kicking off. Some bollocks team between someone from Spain and Germany. It's crap. And if you
surely every member of the Guiricast won't be watching that, will they?
Well, if you're going to go sit in a stadium to watch a big television screen rather than watching Malaga versus Celta Fortuna, then I think personally you need your head testing.
Who's this, Nick? Who's this?
No,
the same way they went to see what's his name?
Not yet. Oh yes, but he's also going to the away leg.
Did he see what's the English? Elton John.
Yeah, that guy. Elton John, wasn't
that guy.
Yeah.
What are you doing these days?
I don't know. I heard he's a graphic designer.
He's busying himself, but yeah. Well, we'll wrap up there. We will have a live stream on Saturday evening. If you do want to join us, as we completely slag off Celta B because we already hate them, but it should be a really good first leg. Second leg wise, there is a group ascending on the Costa del Sol to watch that, so I think that's going to be really quite fun as well. And then fingers crossed we find ourselves in a final within a couple of weeks. Any other announcements from you guys before we disappear?
Nope.
No,
Good. Big Malaga, and this is the moment.
This is it. We need like a rousing Chris Marquez speech / video to really rally us through these playoffs. So,
with the slow piano, in the background.
No.
That's all we need.
No grit, no glory.
No grit, no clit, no what?
Hey.
Completely lost my tongue there, boys. Anyway,
don't start him off.
Anyway.
Maybe we should end with strong winning quotes.
We could, or we could just play out to girls on film in quote of Duran. Because I don't know if you know.
It's great to share success.
Say it in Spanish, Chris.
Winning isn't getting ahead of others; it's getting ahead of yourself. Competition makes you better. Always makes you better, even if the competitor wins.
Have you seen the Seattle fans? Have you seen the Seattle fans?
Yeah.
Fight and win.
Winners focus on winning. Losers focus on winners. I will win. Not immediately, but definitely.
Well,
The winners in life think constantly in terms of I can, I will, and I am.
well, I think I'm the winner tonight because you guys wouldn't have noticed, but maybe the people at home would have heard the extra, I think, 5 Duran Duran songs that I slipped into the episode.
I got three.
You got 3. So we're there. So if you listen at home, tell me how many you got on Twitter. And speaking of that, come follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. There's all more fun going on over there. You can subscribe to us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts for all the latest updates, so you can be notified immediately as an episode drops on a random day during the middle of the week whenever we get around to editing
You
things.
can also do that on YouTube, where you press the bell, and then every time we upload something, the bell does cling-a-ling-a-ling, and you see the Guiricast
has a new episode, so
Yes.
keep yourself up to that. We're not going away for summer either. I know some people are very concerned that we're not going to be gracing their ears over the course of the summer period. We've got plenty of exciting plans for the off season, so keep yourself up to date with that one as well. So thank you very much, Luke, for joining us.
Thank you as always, mate. Just everybody get involved Saturday night with us on the live stream. Numbers have been absolutely fantastic, and it's a credit to you guys. This is the biggest game in years. Potentially, it's a happy game. We're used to getting beat and getting relegated games, but this one could be a fucking good one. So let's have it. Vamos, Malaga.
Indeed. Fucking come on. Chris Marquez, thank you so much.
Thank you. Vamos, Malaga. This is your moment.
This is your moment. And thank you, everybody, for listening at home. As I've said, you've been listening to the Guiricast. I've been Nick Bell, and we have been on Sports Direct Radio and as part of the Sports Social Podcast Network. Hasta luego, and as always, siempre vamos, Malaga.